today I'm joined by Makoya, who is our customer experience lead at MTN, and we Nadine he is the head of technology. Now, we are just trying to unpack Emma Awards MTN for the past year for being one, the best network provider, and then the customer experience lead. Today, what do you mean with why did we win these awards, and what made us so deserving that this is what we win awards like? Ngicala ngalingani ke namusha, Lindani ngicela uchazele bampheli bethu emakhaya ukuthi why exactly, what is the significance of the best network provider award that
Thank you, Bakazile, for the question, and Sivusele babukele emakhaya. So the Best Network Award talks to a number of things, but I'll just quickly rush into three of the elements. Firstly, let's chaza to our customers. This is a benchmark that is done across Africa from all the MTN markets. So when we're saying we're the best network in the country, it's been validated by this benchmark. So kuba ne benchmark exercise where a certain company comes throughout the country, Yendema drives across more than 1,000 kilometers in the country. So picking data, then they go out and analyze the data. So when that data is out, amongst our competitors as tops in terms of those points that are given. So then it positions us in a number of ways. Firstly, as a company, MTN, and also as a country globally, because remember now everything that we do in the country is globally measured. So when investors or anybody wants to come and do business in the country, and looking at this report, they can see that the networks in the country can support whatever they want to do in the country as we move on to the next generation of networks. So that's the significance of this particular award. It was based on data and voice.
Thank you, Batazile, and Sivusele to all our was Makoya. Thank you really for joining us on this chat. And I think Bakazile, it becomes easier for me to speak after Lindani because Maukulman customer and ask a customer what service are you looking for from MTN. It is primarily what Lindani is speaking about. And if we are excelling at that, it becomes one of the key things that we measure Masikulumisa a customer experience. So customer experience really speaks broadly, but it's about 6 or 7 elements. One of them is network, but more importantly, you want to speak about the customer experience from likhasimende. So now buta ukuthi ibuya phile ranking kokuqala kufanele sichaze ukuthi ikhona i-survey nakithi leyendekako in all markets yendiwa an independent company called Ipsos. Ipsos akasini wala Swatini, it's just an international company. It sort of now gets an opportunity to listen and speak to emakhasimende ethu sing MTN, but angasicathanisi against ourselves, asicathanisi against other operators lender the same business and giving the same service. So baqathanisa le network la khuluma ngayo Lindani nalamanye ama networks la khona baqathanise kwekuthi inthenga yethu, our price ikanjani, our customers experiencing the brand when they need service and support, do they get it easily? Are we moving along with the times? Are we digitizing? Because ama customer bachazile asengilama customer la ngafuni kuphuma ayotifuna tinto mangisekhaya nangifuna lusito ke MTN angilutfole nje ngihledi ekhaya. So if you look at all these indices, but they looked at them and babuya bathi sing Eswatini siyabonakala kwekuthi we are really doing a lot towards improving how we service emakhasimende ethu. And it's really significant Lindani because now lalela Lindani uthi akhona ema operations lamanye aka MTN across Africa. And immediately Lindani ucabanga the Nigerias and the South Africas, which are huge markets. So to you Eswatini, I really believe that this is a commendation, the komba kwekuthi it is really not about size. It is really not about muscle. It's about the heart and about how you deliver what you want to deliver. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
It's been 4 years running now.
Yes.
Still winning the same award. Yeah, we've got a bigger strength in terms of our investment, firstly in the country. Then also we've got sort of an internal drive, like Gciniwe Ashito when talking of the heart, because we don't just get a result and sit or look at the gap between us and our competitors, because maybe there's a huge kind of gap and relax. So we also want to improve year on year. So they also improve and we improve even further. So I think that's how we keep winning this award.
Okay. So, and that's a good question. Um, Even more interestingly, then I still get people asking me, "Good, manje wendani ka-MTN yegciniwe bathi customer experience, what do you do?" So at MTN both matter, because customer service speaks to the once-off interaction. Ngicela imandi Lindani, uyanginike imandi. At MTN, we measure that as well, because it is the service that then translates to an experience overall. Because when ungacabanga ukuthi Lindani ngicele emandi, and when Lindani gets the water, it then translates to the whole experience with me as a brand. So from a service perspective, sikhulumisa lama touch points that customers interact with us on, and we measure those. Amakhasimende interacta nathi ngeke etitolo, lamanye afika khona la kamahlale ekhukhwini house, lamanye agcina kusibona ngalama agents ethu nalama vendors labasitako le emimangweni nasemaphandleni. Ma customer perceive that as MTN. So seeing MTN, we measure the service on a one-on-one basis with customers. We do quality assessments. We even go further to even listen to the voice of the customer. Sikubute emva kwaleyo instance ye service kwekuthi ihambe njani le service. But then when you then speak about experience, bachazile ema-brands la njenga MTN, I understand ukuthi how I relate with bachazile does not remain at the service level. It can go and translate to the way I experience you as MTN as a brand. E-experience speaks about the whole ecosystem. How do I then perceive the brand? Is it a helpful brand? Is it an approachable brand? Is it a friendly brand? Is it an affordable brand? Is it an accessible brand? That then speaks to the whole experience bachazile. And at MTN we measure that, because siyafuna kwathi njengoba asho Lindani, I've given you the best network. So Lindani has done his job, he's delivered it, but it's then how the customers experience it that make them want to come back to Lindani's network. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about globalization and all the effects of it, AI and all these developments, because maybe they may go too technical for us. But I think the investment, we've gone to the extent where we're boasting of over 99% coverage in the country. So that's how the investment has gone. And if you talk of development in technologies now, we talk of 2G, 3G and 4G technology, and also 5G. So these are technologies that we use in the country to access, or for our customers to access our services. So depending, would see where is the customer in these technologies or services, and the demand coming from the services they use. And it's not very easy to explain, but 2G is still there, for instance, running. For a simple voice call, you can still use 2G and be happy. Even the phone that you buy is an affordable phone. Kanjalo until you get to your 5G. So we've got a wide spectrum of customers. As you will learn that in other countries, 2G and 3G have been phased out. But as Eswatini, we continue to sustain our investment in the sense that we still run all these 3 or 4 technologies that we are talking about, because we understand our economy and we want to uplift every Liswati in the market to say, let's get to the faster technologies as we move more into data services, which then takes us to the next level. As maybe we'll come back and talk about other elements like your artificial intelligence, big data, analytics, and all those elements that maybe customers can benefit from.
Siyabonga. Gciniwe, I'm back with you again. How does MTN measure the customer experience? So ukuthi sizeswine nje, how did we actually measure that?
And that's a beautiful question because I think in cool about Kazile, what you don't measure, you cannot say you've attained or delivered. So the nice thing and the beautiful thing about MTN as a brand is that it is that specific about KPIs. You've got to meet them. And lokuhle ngawo about Kazile is that every year they are incremental. So if yesterday you gave me 10%, I'm expecting 15. And in 2025, I'm expecting 30. So briefly, ema-elements lesiwabukako masikhulumisa customer experience yekucala it speaks to the net promoter score, NPS. And Bakazile, we are really celebrating as Eswatini because we are number one in this market. And akusho thine Bakazile, kusho emave emakhasimende in the market. Nakhona akukabutwa la aka MTN kuphela, sibuta emakhasimende nje la khona Eswatini that enjoy i-service le provide wangithi and other operators. And we are happy Bakazile ukuthi we are back, we are number one. But logo akusho ukuthi bese soyahlala uyakhibika. It means we are constantly trying to then implement what my customer are complaining about. So the first one is your NPS. But the second indicator that we are measured against is, so my customers things customers are saying, and we won't shy away from it, Lindani, is that customers say that our pricing needs attention. Customers say that. Customers say your depletion needs attention. They say your service is improving here and there. But they equally go and tell you, for example, sesiyamfuna lo 4G bese ku 2G. So then we are measured by Kazil again on how we are implementing the things that customers are saying real time. And we are expected to hit 100% on that. So if customers are complaining about A, there's a measure that looks at how you are dealing with that. The third one, we are measured at as there's a measure that looks at how, as an operation, we are digitizing. One, Lindani spoke about the newer technologies, la corner. Customers are used to and are wanting to be able to do some of these functions that we offer and access our services remotely. So there is a measure that looks at how fast are we digitizing as a company. But, like Lindani says, the measure also looks at sihamba nemakhasimende ethu na. Because there's no benefit in deploying a 5G network ushiye ama customer akho ungawafundzisi ukuthi yini le 5G and what is the benefit. So even though we have digital platforms available to customers, we are equally measured on what effort we are putting towards educating customers so that they understand the benefit of the digital platforms. The other one, but just quickly, I'll wrap it up. We also measured against how easy is it for customers to just activate a SIM and do a SIM swap. So there is an expectation that we will protect that right yeliswati to have access to these services. So when ungahlala ubuke ngathi kuthenga SIM card, ganzi it's access to a right. Lulungelo lami to be able to communicate and stay connected. So how easily you do it as an operation, MTN wants to measure that. Angahlupheki nangifuna kuthenga iSIM card ngiactivate. Seyilahlekile iSIM card yami, aphinza angahlupheki ngoba ngiyafuna ukuchubeka ngibe ne-access to my network and my communication needs must be serviced. So there's quite a lot of things that are measured by Kazil. But lokuhle ngale indicator le is that it is really coming from the voice of the customer. It is not one we are pronouncing internally, externally. Customers are saying we are seeing improvements, but it does not say that we've attained 100%. There's still a long way to go because as customers give us feedback, we need to keep implementing what customers are speaking to.
I hope never as a company we really do care about you. Lindani, how much ground has MTN covered in ensuring high quality network and uninterrupted network, just in terms of making sure that in highly congested areas people are still not feeling saturated, they're not feeling the pinch? What is it just to make sure?
We that's what we do actually on a daily basis. There's what we call network optimization, which is a daily task wherein there's engineers who sit and look at those 5 minutes or hourly stats to see where do we have challenges in the network. So there is short-term and long-term. Short-term fix is where we are pushing our network in a certain way. As I've mentioned before, you find that each coverage area has got about 3 technologies, 2G, 3G and 4G. So sometimes we optimize in the sense that we see whether 2G is congesting and we can move other customers to 3G or even up to 4G. And then long term, we do network designs where we have to upgrade our network. I wanted to simplify it and not state maybe these big technical terms and say just we upgrade our network in a way that at each and every stage we see how the flow of the traffic is, because as you will note, this is a mobile network, so you may find in Babane calling someone in Manzini. Already the route in between, there's a lot that happens there, and that's what we look at on a daily basis. Then there's further investment, because you deploy a tower or you deploy a site, then there is a pickup from the customers, even other dynamics that come real time that we didn't anticipate. Then we need to replan. Then after that, we reinvest again and upgrade. So we focus on 3 elements. We look at cities, which is your Mbabane Manzini. We look at towns, all the outlying towns, your Peaks, Steg and other towns. Then we look at roads. That's where we focus mainly, because people need to be mobile with our network versus a fixed network. So all those elements are looked at on a daily basis, and that's what we do as engineers. Yeah.
Because all that probably doesn't come at a cheap cost. So thank you guys for investing in our customers. Akalangani makastom. Ati, what are their main pain points? Akalangani ema customer efu aga MTN.
And it's a good question, Batkazile. It's an exact question that the one dealer would ask every day. Akalangani ma customer, because business is there to solve a pain and a problem. So if you still have a customer losakala, it does mean that you need to keep focusing in on that and finding a solution that is long lasting. So the cry from a customer has remained for the past 1 or 2 years, the price of data. And I think it's not even exclusive maybe to us as MTN, because I think we are starting to understand Emma lifestyle patterns and the spending habits of customers. Communication has stopped being a luxury. There was a time when having data was a luxury. There was a time when in this day and age, everything is hinged on data and it's part of our lives. So yes, customers would require and ask that it be affordable, because it has almost shifted towards to becoming a basic need to customers. It's how we reach our families. It's how we track our children. It's how we remain feeling safe. If you've got a home system, a safety system, data has become part of your security system. So we understand it from that perspective, that customers are saying that data, not just to MTN, and it's a concern and a question that the regulator also speaks about. It's a question of access. So at MTN, the price question remains center to us. Customers will remember that mid last year, we did revise and review our prices and the value that we give to our customers. It's a constant question that lingers and hangs, and everyone in the business, from our CMO to all across to Chris in S&D, who are selling to the customers real time, the question remains, how do we then make data affordable, taking into consideration lakusho Lindani ngokuthi kona nayo ayidi cheap ngoba uthengisa involo ithenge somewhere. Ayidi cheap, and my customer know that, but umsebenzi wethu sing-MTN is to constantly try and be innovative in terms of the costs that we have in terms of bringing the data. Ito connect translator to how we can then keep reducing my prices ethu. But it is a constant concern, and we're listening to our customers. And we appreciate the business senkhulumele ma customer, because last year we did see some efforts towards that, and it remains central in the agenda. In the depletion, once again, Lindani spoke about not getting too technical, because the minute you start talking about depletion, if you would ask an engineer, it becomes a technical response by Kazil, because now hey petrol the quickest question engine ban. So now kuluma depletion bachazile, we are realizing ukuthi leyo discussion iphinze hambelane nekufundzisana ngokuthi isebenza njani yona le data. Because vele mawuphethe esigedlemba nje ngisenayo esigedlemba wami nami nangingafuni nje ukubhadala ngithenga letimatima data and the cost of an iPhone and a high spec phone ngihle ngithi kusigedlemba wami. But siyaweva amakhasimende, because they're saying our depletion is fast, and we quickly then equate that to quality. But at the same time siphinde sikhumbule ukuthi sisenemsebenzi wekufundisa le ndani ukuthi ama customer understand ukuthi now uthi idla fast le depletion isuke ibuke ini but ama customer akhuluma ngaloko akhulumile ke ngeservice ukuthi contact center yethu kuhle kuba netikhathi la basinabathi bashabe tikhathi letinzi silalele lapho Lindani nje nyaluceda kusifakela isystem lenche contact center leta make sure ukuthi emakhasimende ethu siyakhona kwasita bachazile kube bededikhathi la umuntu abe sesimeni lesimbi afune icontact center abathi uyashaya athi khanze you are caller number 40 you are caller number timvo leti kanjalo bachazile sitibukile sing MTN and siyadiseband in network. I will not speak about it because Lindani has mentioned, but we had to deploy more in terms of I think bekuseshiselweni nje labe bakhala khona Lindani ukuthi kunetindzawo eshiselweni la ukuthi cwacwa inetwork yethu ingatholakali. We managed to handle that and sawufaka inetwork kuleto tindzawo. So siyachubeka bachazile siyathi sebenta timvo ema customer la khala ngato. Nawo akachubeke asatise sitokhona ukuchubeka sisebente timvo labakhala ngato.
Anyway, for that, I think we pemvule kahle kakhulu because as you were just answering, I was also recollecting le timvo lesiyayisibone ku social media. Bayakhala thi date yahamba thi nesidulile. So thank you for that one. Lindani, we've seen multiple times la khona kuthiwa lamanye ama ISPs akakhoni ku provide a network because there's been copper theft countless times. As MTN, how are we navigating this? How are we making sure ukuthi thina sibabetele tinkinga te copper theft?
Copper theft is a serious challenge. Actually, even the government, I think, they've taken a stand to say now we need to come together as network operators and form a forum where we talk about copper theft. But it's affects mostly indirectly because we're mobile technology. So most of the communication we do over the air. Except for those areas, we've got a tower at a specific area and we've got a switch at another specific area. So if they attack those areas, yes, we suffer as well. But we've tried to make or to implement those security measures, which unfortunately I cannot mention to the public, but we try to make sure our sites are secured. Others, for instance, we provide security cards because at least that one is visible. But beyond that, there's other technologies that we use that are within our capabilities to monitor. For instance, let me just be general. There are technologies where you use motion sensors for certain things. So there are technologies where you can use bomber heartbeat, so to see if something is moving towards your property, what kind of thing is that? Is it a cow? Is it a person? So we need to know how those things work. So there's a number of technologies that are out there, and maybe nje bantu singabathipisa sibaxwayise ukuthi they need to stay away from any infrastructure yaka telecoms in general. And now I'll talk for the industry. And number two, talking for the country, again, those, because we've seen there are sort of syndicates around this, because it's not easy to get volumes of copper and go and sell it. So of course, somewhere there are people that are funding these people that are stealing copper, and they are taking our country backwards, because telecoms is the main enabler of business at this day and age. And again, our interdependencies between our competitors, again, if you affect one of us, you affect the others, because the other ISPs, there's some services they buy from us. We buy certain services from some of them. We buy services from EEC. We buy services from other government entities. So when you touch one of us, you affect the rest of us. So I think in that sense, maybe to send that appeal to the public, just to look after that. I think King Sobuza mentioned or talked about Gutinawe Ulipoisa. So I think that's one thing again that we need to inculcate as a Maswati, Gutinawe Ulipoisa. Most of our towers are stationed in the mountains out there in the villages. So good umloenyuka ayenzabeni sive singamboni. And emakhaya kukahle sonke siyatana, so ukuthi umlo ngayentsabeni singamati. So but when we come in and check ukuthi okay ngubani logcine to visit inzaba and sekulahleke info letika so the community should be able to stand out and mention ukuthi bobani lababonakala bendani. So I think in that sense Bachazile will manage to circumvent the challenges we face around copper theft. But again, as network operators, we're trying to move away from copper as much as we can. Copper, from our perspective, is becoming a slow medium of transmission. So now we're moving into other technologies like fiber, which is also a cable. And I think the challenge with fiber now, fiber is more like glass. People steal it still, and they discover because this is something useless that they can't use. So again, I think once we completely phase out copper, our networks will be more stable and also use satellite and other modes of transmission.
That one, yeah, no, it's a lot of work that you are doing, and we really do appreciate you as a company. Qiniwe sengigcina nje ntolo. We just want to find out from you, Guti, in terms of the customer experience that we deliver to people, how are we ensuring that our employees are actually servicing the customers right? The different types of customers that we have, from lona lo sebenzisa bombombo to lona lo sebenzisa iPhone.
And for me, if that becomes the last question, it's the best question, because it then forces you to pause and remember kokuthi bandvu laba serve ma customer. And MTN is very grateful to its staff. We are grateful to the agents in the contact center, in our service centers, the vendors that are standing in that corner, Lena, that person that stops to assist our customer. We are truly grateful, because you can't buy airtime from this building. You've got to get it from a human being, and the service comes from people. So we want to really appreciate the team that wakes up every day and comes and leaves their own problems in Makoya, and their job is to solve problems 8 to 5. We really, really appreciate them as a company. But the question then becomes how. So for us, it starts with how you hire, who you hire. We are very conscious about that, because you can't take a stone and then expect to get water out of it. So we are very intentional around the people that work in our service centers. We are intentional about the people that you talk to in a contact center. It is not random pickings, but we always say that if you want to be in that space, you had better love people. If it really is not your space, because you've got to have the passion and the love for people in your heart. You've got to have empathy. You've got to be able to listen with understanding. So I'd like to believe that you must get the right people for the right job. And then secondly, we are very, very invested in training and development. It is one that we celebrate as a business. MTN has gone and furthered herself and developed herself further. So as a business, we equally do invest and take time to train all our customer-facing people, but not just them, even everyone in the business. From the person you find at the gate, we do take time to do training for them. To the man that mends our garden, to the lady that is there, and you walk past them and you think they don't know what MTN is. They understand the role they play. So we are so intentional about training, but we not only leave it there, we go further to make sure that there's quality management. We do a very rigorous QA on all our customer-facing portfolios. And finally, on a weekly basis, even daily, we track the voice of the customer in all our touch points. So if you happen to visit any of our service centers, you do get an awkward call, or you do get an SMS asking you, how was the service? Because we're really intentional around changing the instant service to an experience holistically. So we do take time and spend effort in ensuring that we do make sure that customers get the best service and the best experience. And once again, really thank you to all the teams, from Lindani's team to all the teams that are at MTN, because they are part of what we call customer service.
That one, sesiqedile ke emakhaya. We are finally done with our conversation, Naqiniwe and Lindani, and we'd really just love to appreciate them for taking the time to come and explain to our customers ukuthi mbamba kwendekani la ka MTN, and why are we winning so many awards. So again, siyabonga, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day.